Like it was this tiny little like window in the ground that we had to like scooch through to get into like the venue for the show. And one of the guys, we're like looking at it like, are you serious? And the guy's like, that's the problem with Paris, all the tiny doors. So I had therapy this week and I was telling my therapist about this guy I have a crush on. And I was trying to let her know where he worked by my favorite sushi place. And turns out she loves that sushi place, which is kind of crazy because I've never seen her there, but we go there a lot, Jose and I. And so I was telling her, and so we're laughing and stuff. And then she's like, "Oh, should I go check him out? Should I go like get some deets? Like, figure out his star sign or like, his favorite color." She was kidding, obviously. She can't do that. But I mean, she could, but not for any reason that pertains to me, confidentiality. But I'm like, she's a better wing woman than Jose. Yeah. Yeah. I told her that too. I was like, this has been Jose's job this whole time since I've met this person. And has he gotten any deets? No, 0.
Yeah.
So Jose, I'm calling you out.
Oh, I still feel bad the last time I called him out, which I did need to retract that statement. We love you. We
love you, but get with the program. I need a wingman.
You do need a wingman. You do. That's true.
I do. So that was fun and funny. I don't know. She's not going to do it. I don't think. Maybe she will. I don't know.
Yeah, it just can't be in like a professional capacity, but.
Right.
Do you think you can ever be too comfortable with your therapist?
I mean, I don't know.
Like
I've only had one, so I don't know if there's like, I mean, I'm sure lines get crossed all the time.
Yeah.
Hopefully not all the time, but like.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're literally becoming so intimate with this person, like on a regular, right? So you're going to develop something, but you chat a lot more about like life stuff like that with your therapist more than I ever have.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think when I first saw her, that's where we talked about like the big issues. So now at this point, like a year and a half in, I'm kind of just updating her on like the current state of my life.
Okay.
So I don't know. I do really like her. I mean, I do think she's great. She's fun and funny and we talk and it's comfortable. And I look forward to when I see her, like I keep appointments, even if I have things going on. So I don't know. I don't know. I can say in my line of work, we do get notices sometimes when medical professionals have been suspended and they give details as to what they did.
Oh,
and these
should have been your anecdote. I want some deets.
This is wild. Well, yeah, it's like some are minor, some are like substance abuse issues, some are like one today I saw was attempted murder.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Others are like they'll steal from like patients. They're pretty detailed. Yeah, it's like it's kind of messed up, but I do read through them if I have like a free minute. Yeah, because they just send them to our whole team. So
they just put that shit on blast. Like, hey, everyone, this person's fucking whatever.
Yeah, this person's fucking their patient. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think there are boundaries that can be crossed, but in my
fucking your patient is definitely one. That's
yes, yeah.
That's a hard boundary that
All right. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know.
That's probably a fetish, like patient doctor, relationship,
Right, which is fine if you want to role play that, but like professionally, you're not going to be able to fulfill that fetish like for very long and keep your.
Also, but both parties need to know that they're role playing.
Oh yeah, right.
If one's just actually a patient and your role playing is like a sexy doctor, and they're just like, oh, you're just my doctor who,
right,
dressed up a little extra today. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, true.
Who's wearing fishnets for whatever reason.
Right. True. Yeah. Both parties should be aware of the situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're all about consent. All about consent.
All about it.
Yeah. Speaking of which.
So, yeah.
Slide on into that transition there and start this episode.
We are nothing if not good at segues. So.
Very fair. We are nothing if not good at those. Okay. So that means what you think it means. So we are continuing off our episode about dreams. So hopefully you enjoyed that last episode. We got into the weeds a little bit on, just more about like the logistics of dreams, what that looks like, right? But this is the fun episode, which, redundancy, but this is going to be a fun one.
Yeah. That's true, but there was just like starting the research there, it was just so dense, but it was all interesting. At least doing the research. We hope you guys liked it too, but there's just so much and so little that we understand about dreams. Right. It's really fascinating.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get into the good stuff.
Yeah. So we did want to dream journal, which we mentioned in the last episode, that part of this would be interesting if we really tried to like put into practice what we learned, right? So journaling immediately after you wake up, and sometimes even like setting an intentional goal to remember your dreams will help you retain some of that information. And so for me, I probably would say I remember a dream like maybe like once a month, twice a month on average. They're not very frequent, but when I do remember them, I can pretty much like recite it like, okay, this is what happened,
Right.
So I actually remembered 2 dreams, but only one dream I remembered long enough to like actually get my phone, type something out, which it wasn't totally coherent, but I texted it to Morgan and I was like, this is exactly what I remember.
It's true. She did. That was smart.
Yeah. So it worked. So let's read my dreams. So this is what I remembered. And again, run-on sentence, but like it is what it is. So, oh man, trigger warning. I don't know. We talk about a lot of shit, but whatever. So so this is my dream. There was a serial killer who used multi-level marketing schemes to kill folks and hide the people. He had 11, and this is 11 from Stranger Things. I don't know if you knew that or if you thought that I was just like typing it wrong, but I meant like he had 11, the character. Like 11, the character was in my dream. So he had 11 and other folks working for him, but myself and another girl knew about it. So like, just like me and Morgan always talk about with cults, like we just want to be in on it. And I was in on it, but it was not a good in on it. I think I like found out about it in the dream. Okay. And he was like making us / like the other girls like take Molly to cover it up. So we were always like in this weird, like not totally aware, like state.
Yeah.
And it was an intense dream. It was like, I was like, I don't know. It was almost like Blade Runner or something. Like there was a lot going on and I was trying to like be like stealth about it, but also like I was on Molly, so I couldn't really be stealth about anything. It was a very interesting dream.
Oh, so that's what I remember. Interesting. That is.
Yeah, a lot of layers.
Lots of layers. That is fascinating. How did it end? Did it have a conclusion?
No, I mean, that was one of the days that I did wake up naturally, which if you listen to the last episode, that can help you remember more vividly. So I just remember like it was that feeling of like trying to do something, but like I couldn't because I was like incapacitated in some way. In this way, I was like on drugs. So, but it wasn't like a good feeling. It was like, I want to do more, but I can't because like my mind's all foggy, which makes sense because I was dreaming. So that's the last thing I remember is that like we were trying to like escape somewhere, like trying to kind of like figure out like how to like bring this down, basically.
Oh, okay.
And then I woke up, so to be continued.
Yeah, that's fun. I wonder if you go to bed thinking about it, you might be able to get back into it.
We'll talk about that a little bit today. But
Ooh, okay, awesome.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, I could only remember one dream from this past week since we decided to try and keep track of them.
Mm-hmm.
I also wake up to an alarm and take gummies before I go to bed. So I think I've just been sleeping really hard and not remembering as much. But so I was back in Santa Barbara where we went to college, and I was riding bikes with a friend. This guy, couldn't place him, and his dad. And it was sunset and it was really beautiful. It was very peaceful. And then when we got back to their house, I realized his dad also lived there. Like his dad had moved to college with him. So I remember ending the dream like kind of like confused.
Oh.
Why does your dad live here? That's weird. Like it was it was like the area of town where all the college students lived. So
right.
It was just a little bit odd. So it was really beautiful. Like I said, it was sunset at the beach in Santa Barbara. You can't beat that. I remember, like, I can close my eyes and picture like the scenery for sure. But the dream didn't have a lot of context. It was just the riding of the bikes, back to the house. Why does your dad live here? That's basically it.
Yeah, I feel like I've lived that out one of our crazy college nights. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, maybe this is just like, a memory.
But hold on to those dreams though, because we will bring those up later in the episode as we do a little dream interpretation. So yeah, keep those in mind.
Put a pin in them.
What'd you say?
I said put a pin in those.
Yeah, put a pin in those. Put a pin in it and put a bird on it.
Oh, such a good show.
Such a good show. That's Portlandia, just in case anybody cares. If you just want to laugh at something really stupid and indie, but really silly, look up Portlandia, put a bird on it. It's very, I don't know. It might not even stand up anymore. It might not be funny at all, but whatever. It was hilarious then. So anywho, yeah, let's go on ahead and get into it this week.
So jumping back in. So dreams, are they representing our unconscious desires? Ooh, maybe I want a daddy on a bike. Is that what we're thinking?
We'll get there, but you can always put it out there in the universe.
Yeah,
put it out there.
The pin is still in it. Yeah. There we go. So logically, do they serve as merely part of the sleep cycle or have deeper meaning? So possible explanations include representing unconscious desires and wishes, interpreting random signals from the brain and body during sleep, consolidating and processing information gathered during the day, and working as a form of psychotherapy.
Yeah.
It feels like all the above.
Yeah.
Like depending on the kind of dreams, because I've had dreams that are like your dream. It's really wild. Like you're not joining an MLM anytime soon.
True.
You don't like true crime. Like there's a lot of factors in yours. I mean,
that's a good point. I mean, that's the thing, but it does pull on some, once we get a little later into like dream interpretation, it does pull on some like dog whistles for me, right? MLMs, that's a big like kind of like red flag for me that I'm so interested in. So that when I see it, it like sticks out in my memory because I'm like, wow, I'm so fascinated with like that cult mentality. So it kind of makes sense that was in my dream, you know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, representing something more, right? Something bigger that would remind me of that later.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So Mayo Clinic defines psychotherapy as a general term for treating mental health problems by talking with a psychiatrist, psychologist, or other mental health provider.
Yeah. And so I thought that was kind of important just to talk about, as like when it says working as a form of psychotherapy, I was like, well, is psychotherapy just like general psychotherapy or general therapy, right? And so using dream interpretation, in my like perspective, it kind of seems as though that would be like a way to process trauma, but like almost from the outside looking in. You know what I mean? Like where you can like look at the dreams, see how they can apply to your life, but also like deal with like whatever themes are coming up for you.
Yeah.
You know, and like try to process that from like a little bit removed so you don't have to like relive the trauma almost, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that
You
does make
know?
sense. And I think because we did talk about like some of the reasons you have nightmares or some of the
Mhm.
ways that you can lucid dream. And
Mhm.
so I think understanding those reasons
Mhm.
might be helpful if you're right. Like if different themes are coming up,
Yeah.
if you're having a ton of nightmares, you might have a ton of stress and anxiety. Like what
Yes.
is the root of that? Like I could see how this would totally like play into someone's therapy routine.
Yes. Right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So just honestly like pulling on all forms of therapy, things that you feel will help you gain deeper insight, right? Like we talked about that on the astrology episode, like whatever is out there that will give me better insight and self-awareness, like sign me up. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean that I
Yeah.
have to take everything for face value and be like, oh, I got to watch out for like falling into an MLM. Like, no, it just means that like it's good to keep that in, the forefront of your mind while you're like jumping into new ventures, or maybe you see red flags and other things in your life and you're like, oh, you know what? Like this could actually apply. It doesn't have to be, a literal interpretation. It can just be like, again, like using that to analyze something that might be equivalent in your real life. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's true. And like, I mean, from the therapy I have done, like I was saying before, like we do just kind of talk in general, like check ins on how I'm doing currently. But we
mhm,
have talked about doing like guided meditation and different things,
right.
other forms of therapy, which we haven't yet. I need to bring that back up to her.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, trying different things as you progress, like along that therapy journey. I
Yeah.
don't know what you want to call it, but you know, that totally makes sense.
Yeah. No, I like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, a study showed that sleep does not help people forget unwanted memories. Instead, REM sleep might even counteract the voluntary suppression of memories, making them more accessible for retrieval.
Yeah.
So, that's interesting in terms of the psychotherapy,
Right.
because if you are suppressing something and it's making it come to the forefront, I mean, hopefully you are in therapy and you're working through that.
Yes.
So, whatever kind of stress or anxiety you're having from whatever's being suppressed,
Hmm.
you can maybe work through and have other tools to address it.
Right.
Um, but that's interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it's not always going to be like we talk about that, right? Like therapy isn't linear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like if you are just in, kind of standard therapy, right? Where you're kind of just like talking to someone, having a sounding board, right? To bounce off ideas or, think about things in a different way. However, you're still having things that are like plaguing your mind. And those, some of those themes do end up like popping up in your dreams. For me, at least, like when I have a nightmare or something, and again, it doesn't happen too often that I can remember, but when I do, I really do try to think about it. I don't really like psychoanalyze in that way. I'm not like that skilled, but I do think about it, kind of often, like, man, what was that? And I think now, especially going over all this dream stuff, I'm going to start like kind of looking into it similarly to the way I do astrology, when I like read it every once in
Yes.
a while.
Yeah. I feel
Yeah.
like I'm going to approach that. I mean, I'm excited for this. I mean, I loved last week's episode. It was so interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely want to approach. I try to interpret my dreams already, and I have
Yeah.
no basis for that. So,
Yeah.
like, now that we have more information, like, yes, sign me up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very fair. Yeah, I do it
Yeah.
anyway. So
Right.
now I
Yeah.
just have more backing.
Yeah. It's
Good
going to be
point.
more legit now.
Yeah.
Going legit. So, so a study of 320 adult dreamers found three things. So, number one, 48% of characters represented a named person known to the dreamer. Okay. The second one is that 35% of characters were identified by their social role, for example, policeman, or relationship to the dreamer, such as a friend. And number 3, 16% were not recognized. Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting because, so first of all, I think number 2, how, it says 35% of characters were identified by their social role. So like you remembered, like, the guy in your dream that you went to school with, right? You might have not known his name, right? Like you were saying, you're like, I couldn't remember who it was, or like, I don't know if I knew him, but you did have that relationship to him, and you had the relationship he had to the other person, which was his father. That's super interesting,
Yeah. Who was the girl in your dream? Like was it someone you knew?
I can't remember. And like,
okay.
And see, this is what I was thinking when I was like recounting it. I was like, I wanted to just recount it like straight from memory. Like, that's why I texted you that. Like, this is just what I remembered. Because as my biases crept in, I was like, oh, it was probably Morgan. But like, it probably wasn't you. I would have remembered you, right? Like it says, like, it's pretty common to be able to name that person, especially if you have a relationship with them. You know what I mean?
Right.
So my conscious brain is telling me like, oh, it was probably Morgan. Like that would make most sense.
Trying to fill in the gap. Yeah.
Trying to fill in the gaps. Right. But no, I did not have any sense of who that person was when I woke up. Yeah.
Right. And it's interesting because you can have a mix of all 3. Like I'm thinking back.
Yeah.
So this was not included in our week-long trial dream journal remembering a little experiment, but I did have this dream. It was super vivid, and you were there, and a couple of our friends, and then a few people I didn't know. But we were in Paris. We were going to see like a burlesque show. And like to get into the show, we were dressed in like evening gowns, but we had to like shimmy on the floor because the door was so small. I think I told you about this. Did I tell you? The door, like the entryway to this was probably the size of like the face of my laptop. Like it was this tiny little like window in the ground that we had to like scooch through to get into like the venue for the show. And one of the guys, we're like looking at it like, are you serious? And the guy's like, that's the problem with Paris, all the tiny doors. So we had to scoot through. Like, I don't remember the show. I just remember this scene of us having to like crawl on the floor, like army style, to try and get through this tiny little like window to get into the venue.
I love
evening
that.
Gowns.
In evening gowns. Yeah, I love that because the accuracy of us like being down to like whatever, we're gonna get into the show.
We were still doing it. Yeah, we weren't like, no, our beautiful dresses. We were like, fine, I'll crawl on the like dirty ground. Like
I love that. No, I don't remember that. You might have told me, but that's hilarious. I love that. Yeah.
So, but like I said, our friends were there, but also people we didn't know. The guy who told me like, oh, the problem with Paris is the tiny doors. Like I couldn't place that person.
So I love that.
Interesting.
I love that. Yes, that is very interesting. I love that.
So among named characters, 32% were identified by appearance. 21% were identified by behavior. 45% were identified by face. 44% were identified by, quote, just knowing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I totally think that like makes sense because most of the time it's just knowing for me. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, this is how we were talking about last episode, the baby presents.
Oh, yes.
I feel like that's like the just know, like that's what popped in my head first, like reading this.
Oh, yeah.
Like, right? You're like, there's a baby here, or I have to take care of a baby, but this, I like, there's no like prequel to the dream where you're like, okay, I pushed this baby out of me. Like that didn't happen. There's just a baby around.
There's just a baby around. That's so true. But I will say that makes a lot more sense because I was able to identify 11, like again, the Stranger Things character. I was able to identify her by face for sure.
Okay.
But my friend, I knew it was a friend, but it was just, I knew that this was my friend. Like I knew we were in on it together. But again, obviously I know your face, so I would have been able to be like, oh, you were there. Just like you were able to say like, oh, you and a few friends we know were there, right? Because like you were able to see our faces. So that's super interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Really interesting. So another study investigated the relationship between dream emotion and dream character identification. So, affection and joy were commonly associated with known characters and were used to identify them, even when these emotional attributes were inconsistent with those of the waking state.
Oh. Interesting. Okay. Actually, think about it. So my dream that I just gave the example of, right, was like super scary. Like, it was very like anxiety inducing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it was also just more interesting. Like I remember, like I didn't wake up terrified. Sometimes you wake up like in a panic. Like I didn't wake up like that. I woke up very intrigued. Like we were like trying to crack the code. I was trying to like tear down this like MLM. Like I'm gonna stick it to the man. Which totally fits for me. But I did not have like, there was no like, like it says affection or joy. Like I didn't have like any like joy in that dream. Like it wasn't like, I wasn't able to attach to any of those people in that way. Like it was very like, this is what's happening. And like, I'm part of it, but it wasn't a dream with like friends or something like that. You know what I mean?
Well, you had the friend that was on your side, like the person who
that's
also
true.
knew, even though you couldn't identify that person, like you were saying, like you still had like, you identified that person with affection's kind of not the right word, but like on your side. Like, what's the word for like?
Oh yeah, like as like your
not confidant. Like
I know, I was like,
you know what we're trying to get at,
but I think that's a little too deep. Yeah.
Right, but you weren't alone against everyone. You did have some kind of presence there that was
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. That's fair.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And they did in the article that, they did go into like a lot of other different emotions and how those are tied. But we didn't want this to be like such a super heavy episode. So if you are interested, feel free to like dive into this episode deeper than we even did, which might not be possible, but feel free to look up all of those emotions. I just wanted to include that was super interesting, that some of those emotional attributes might not be consistent with what's going on in your real life, but they might help you identify who those folks are in your dreams. So
yeah, that's interesting. Well, that's true, because sometimes you might have a dream that's, well, I guess this is different, because if there's known characters and unknown characters, I wasn't happy with the guy who told us that the problem with Paris is the tiny doors. Like I looked at you like, is he serious right now? And then we got on the floor and started crawling. But like, so obviously I knew like where my affection was for, to who it was towards.
Yes, right.
But I don't know. That's interesting though.
Yeah. So here are some common themes in dreams. So they include being chased or pursued, falling, arriving. Huh?
I hate the falling dream.
Oh,
where you like scare yourself awake?
Yes.
It's the worst.
It is the worst. Yeah. I've had a few falling dreams where I distinctly remember. One time I actually did fall off the bed though.
Oh.
Yeah. I actually did. Like, I can't remember if my dream was actually about falling or if it started being about falling because I actually fell off the bed. Yeah. But I woke up.
Recent?
No, this was a long time
ago.
Oh,
okay. Yeah. Okay.
But I did wake up and I was like, holy shit, I actually fell.
Right.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. I think that's what woke me up. But
right.
Well, obviously. It's very dark. Oh my god. But yeah, so falling, arriving too late. So, showing up to whatever it is and you're late. A living person dying or vice versa. So a person that has already passed away is still alive in your dream. A lot of reactions include fight, flight, or freeze. So some dreams where you feel like you're frozen and you really can't take action, which I hate those dreams.
Yeah.
Where you're like trying to reach for something or you know what I mean? Or you're like trying to pick up things, but they keep falling or something. Oh, I hate that shit.
Yeah.
It's also just like my real life, but anyway.
Too close to home.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I don't have to interpret that. Some other common themes are swimming, losing teeth, fires, monsters, floods, and being an observer. So a lot of like outside looking in on what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you had any where you're losing teeth?
Yeah.
I feel like I have too, but I just can't remember.
Yeah.
But I feel like I have had a dream like that. Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay, so we found another article from nectarsleep.com. So I just kind of wanted to look into a few different types of dreams and what they could possibly be about. So dreams about being chased. So it is a very common dream that everyone at some point in their life has experienced. So it could mean that you have been avoiding something important or not acknowledging something. So you could try not to focus on your issues. So it might be time to solve your problem once.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But it also says, I like this interpretation. It says, another meaning could be you do not want to take others' advice and are a closed-minded person. So if you've had a daunting experience of being attacked by someone, then it could reflect your dreams too. If you could understand who is chasing you, then you can fit the pieces and figure it out for yourself.
Got it.
Right? Yeah, mental note.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Dreams about falling. So they are a clear expression of stability or security issues in life. So you might lack control in your life, basically in your job or relationships. And it also could mean that your life is going in the wrong direction. Ooh. So, right? Yeah. So you might be feeling overwhelmed or stressed because of your recent dreams, and you can take control of your life and fix what is going wrong in your life. So I like this article because it kind of gives you like an idea of what this means, what it could mean, and what needs to happen so that you don't have like recurring dreams, right? A lot of people talk about like recurring dreams. And this might be why, right? Because you're still like ignoring it or just not like acknowledging the fact that it's happening in your life. So, another one would be, so I wanted to do dreams about pregnancy. So pregnancy dreams could mean that you are ready to take your relationship to the next level, or you are serious about this relationship. And it could also mean that there are new opportunities around the corner for you. So not always tied to literal being pregnant, but because pregnancy represents like, new life, a new start, turning over a new leaf, something big and momentous about to change, right? Meaning that, you either need to prepare for that, right? Just like you would do to prepare for a baby, or you just need to acknowledge that like something in your life is going to change.
Okay.
So we talked about the fight, flight, or freeze reactions. So dreams where you can't move. So it means being emotionally trapped or afraid of the future. So another meaning of it can be that you are not in control of your life. You might be making serious attempts to move or walk, but it's because of the emotions, it would be impossible for you to move. So this may mean that you're stagnant in a relationship where you really feel like you want to see growth, but maybe you haven't been, addressing that or speaking that into existence, which means that you are quite literally, frozen in time, right? And not able to progress.
Ooh, that's interesting. I didn't read this article. This is Ryan's research. So does it say anything about like sleep paralysis in this case?
Ooh, no, it does not talk about that.
Like, does it sound like these things are the same or not? Because I have experienced sleep paralysis.
Okay. So I had a few different articles that I read to get to this episode, and sleep paralysis is actually tied with like serious anxiety. Like it's tied to like serious mental anxiety, which literally makes your body physically anxious and unable to like move itself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Or tied to like extreme sleep deprivation as well.
Probably both. I have a terrible sleep schedule, and I am being medicated for anxiety.
That's fair. Yeah, but it was tied to that because it said that, well, again, I'm paraphrasing, there were like 3 articles that I found, but some of what they talked about with sleep paralysis was, again, mental anxiety leading to physical anxiety, which physical anxiety and then trying to also put yourself in a deep state of sleep is really tough because your body does not feel at ease enough to actually put you into like REM sleep. Like you're your body is not inactive enough because you have like a lot of things, you know, like a lot of built up like anxiety and energy in your body basically. And so it's like kind of impossible for your body to fall asleep, but at the same time you might be exhausted from that, right? Because that's physically and mentally draining.
Right.
So it's kind of keeping you in this like limbo.
That makes sense. Because it's like my body couldn't move, but my mind was aware.
Yes.
And so I'm like in this dream state, and it's like this person walking towards me, and I can't get up to like run or fight or do something. Like but I was aware.
Yeah.
Like I was like, move your arm, just move your arm. Like it was so scary. Like
that's interesting.
It's creepy. But okay. Those are interesting interpretations. It just seems like a lot of stop ignoring your emotions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And things you need to address in your life.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, exactly. And things that like, and then like the last, just to mention, they do talk about recurring dreams, and it says, if you've had the same dream over and over, you know, what do you think they mean? And again, a lot of it points to unresolved issues. Like we said, you might not be focusing on something important, but then it also says these dreams are not considered positive. So there might be something that you need to resolve. And the chances of having such dreams increases in people who are unhappy with their life. So yeah, so it's kind of like if you say, for instance, you have a really positive dream, but you keep having this very positive, calm dream. Now, it does mention later that calm dreams are good. It could mean that you're in a good place in your life, that, you know, it could totally point to that. But it could also point to stagnant, right? Like, is this what you want in your life? Is this familiarity something that you're interested in keeping, right?
Right.
And if it is, great. But like you said, typically you're going to try and focus on the things that seem unresolved or ignored. So,
right.
Yeah,
okay.
Super interesting. I really liked that article. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you had recurring dreams?
So again, like it's hard to say. I feel like I've had, yes, I feel like I've had recurring dreams. I don't think that they were multiple nights at a time. But I feel like, you know what I mean? For like for like a year span, maybe I had like a recurring dream or something like that. Yeah, definitely.
So was it the same dream or just the same kind of dream?
It was the same kind, exactly. Same kind of dream.
Okay.
And crazy enough, this was with my ex, which was like 7 or 8 years ago. And I was having similar nightmares, like kind of often. But then I finally remembered it and I told him about it. And he was like so discouraged. It was wild. I'm pretty sure I told you about that dream.
Can you tell us here?
Yeah, I'll tell it. Fuck it. I hope he hears this, fucker. But basically, in the dream, we were being like interrogated to see like if our relationship was real, like valid. So in my dream, basically what was happening was it was similar to the premise of Never Let Me Go, where like in that movie with Carey Mulligan and Andrew Garfield, they basically have to like prove to someone that they actually like have love for each other or something. I don't remember, but it was like an interrogation style. And basically we were in this room like you would be in like a Law and Order episode kind of thing. And, you know, there's like a light on you or whatever. And they're like, you know, prove that you actually love each other, you know? And so like we had to kiss, but like we couldn't kiss for whatever reason. And basically all signs were pointing to like, you're not going to make it. And like, if you're not going to make it, like you're not going to like get out of here basically. And so we were in this interrogation room for a very long time. And there was this creepy lady in the corner in the dark, like weeping. And it was super scary. And he was like, what's that lady doing? Like, what's going on? Like, why, you know, basically he was like interrogating me about like, why don't you love me? And it was very distinctly me and my ex-boyfriend and like a creepy lady in the corner weeping the whole time. And then I had to like stab him in the back.
Jesus.
It was wild. It was so wild, but it was like, but he was like bleeding. It was a whole thing. Yeah.
So you were having this same dream, like the recurring dream was you guys in the interrogation room with
the recurring dream was like this theme of like
you not making it your love. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Of just like us not making it, like us like being in an impossible situation basically. And like not making it.
Okay.
And this was the one that I remembered like distinctly. And I still remember it. Like,
right.
Yeah. It was wild.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And he was like bleeding and he was basically dying in the dream. Yeah, because I think I stabbed him in the back.
Damn.
It was wild. Yeah. Which, right? Like, it's not a literal interpretation, obviously. I mean, I didn't kill a guy, but like, it was a very thick, obvious metaphor.
I mean, yes.
For what was
Having
going
just
on.
had the conversation about the interpretations, yes.
Right.
That is a perfect example.
Yeah.
I've definitely had the dream like where you're trying to do something but you can't. Like you're trying to get somewhere. But so I think I'm more in the realm of like the recurring dream as far as feeling stagnant.
Yeah.
Like since we are now looking at this from a more educated point of view, now that we've done a little research.
Yeah, dream connoisseurs.
Connoisseurs, yes, exactly. So oh yeah. Right? Definitely. It's not always the same dream. Like there's different actions that I'm trying to do.
Yes.
But it's definitely the same like theme.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, yeah, the article kind of goes on to talk a little bit about how, like relationships and dreams, it could be like some of the themes that could be happening in your dreams tied to relationships might be like an object in danger, falling, being chased. That might be related to interpersonal conflicts. Some sexual concepts that come up, like, sexual experiences, finding money, eating delicious food, all are associated with libidinal and sexual motivations. So
what's libidinal?
Like libido, like your
like
libido.
Okay.
Yeah. Libidinal.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So if you have a really good like hamburger, you need to go get some.
I've had dreams. Oh, that's funny. I've had more dreams that I remember about like something really good. I was eating something like super juicy. And yeah, they were pleasurable dreams.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. And then so some dreams that might be under fear of embarrassment would be dreams like being in the nude, failing an exam, arriving too late, like we said, losing teeth, or being inappropriately dressed. These are associated with social concerns and a fear of embarrassment.
Yes. I had a dream where I couldn't find any pants, but I was at like some stranger's house.
Yeah.
And there was an event going on. And I was like running around in my underwear, like, where are my pants?
Where are my pants? I've had a dream where I was like in a slip, like I couldn't find like my actual dress.
Yeah.
And I showed up wherever I was and they were like, what are you doing? And I was like, I don't know. Like my dress is gone.
Yeah.
I always just get like really staunch in my dreams. Like I just like commit to it.
Right. You're like, I don't know. This is it.
Yeah. And dreams also have been reported to repeat scenarios, feelings, and even physical pains and ailments. So, if you experienced something that was very painful in your life, that could actually come up in your dream and almost be repeated to where you can actually feel that whatever that pain was, it can happen again. So
that's interesting. But it doesn't necessarily all have to be bad. I mean, just repeating scenarios and feelings as well.
Right.
So could be happy.
Could be.
Could be
weird.
Could be that juicy burger.
That's fair. No, that's a very good point. I'd love to repeat that. So now into the nitty gritty. I'm so excited for this. So I really wanted to get into the astrology of it all because like we mentioned on the last episode, I know a person, which again, I hope that we can get her on the pod later, maybe next year. However, I've seen her post things about astrology being tied to dreams, which I never really thought about, but it totally makes sense because again, right, it's like all about this like self-help, figuring it out for yourself and trying to like apply that in positive ways in your life, right?
Yeah.
So I found a Cosmopolitan article, which obviously is the expert in everything dreams and astrology. It was my first reference for astrology, at least.
True.
And so basically, yeah. And so basically this article is about how to decode your dreams using astrology, which is super interesting.
Ooh.
So just to give you kind of a quick understanding of what this article does, it's basically follows what house, if you know anything about astrology, and again, see our astrology episode if you did not listen to that one, but it is kind of complicated, but basically whichever house the moon is currently in, and by the way, the houses are different for every astrological sign, but whichever house the moon is currently in, it can shape the kinds of dreams you're having. So yeah, super interesting. So if you haven't found out your birth chart, you can go on apps like CoStar, or I used cafeastrology.com, and you can find out like all that information using your exact time and date of birth and location, and then it'll give you like that birth chart. Okay. So 12 houses that have different categories, which are likely to appear in your dreams during that time of the year. Okay. So it's not an exact science, of course, right? We are talking about some pseudoscience in there, but it's very interesting. So let's take my example dream. So my dream that I told you about, I'll read it again in a second, but it happened on Sunday, December 4th. Okay. So this is just very recent. And the moon on that day was in Taurus. Taurus? Taurus? Taurus. Okay. So the moon on that day was in Taurus. Okay. Now my moon, according to my astrology birth chart, is in Aquarius. So this article actually has all of the moon charts based on like the time of year. Okay. And then you can look up on each of those charts where your moon and this moon would like collide, and like what kind of dreams that you might be having. Okay. And what they could mean. So for mine, right? Yeah. Super interesting. So for mine, it says it's a question. So mine says, having a stressful nightmare about the office, your mind may be trying to release that fear so you can continue working toward your goals. Okay. So that's what I could be dreaming about that night, that specific night. Okay. And then my dream was there was a serial killer who used multi-level marketing schemes to kill folks and hide the people. He had 11, again, the character from Stranger Things, and other folks working for him, but myself and another girl knew about it. But we were being made to take Molly to cover it up. Okay. Okay, so for me, like obviously I need to explain it a little bit. Like I said, multi-level marketing schemes, or like that is so fascinating to me, but it's like I said, it's like a dog whistle for me. Like when I hear it, it immediately makes me like start analyzing things, right? And in the dream, I did not feel out of control in a sense of like couldn't reach things. I felt like we were uncovering the truth. Okay. You know what I mean? And like if I apply that to my real life, like in my new profession as an interpreter, I do feel like I am constantly like I would not say like influencing or counseling anyone in that way. However, I am constantly having conversations with new folks within the field that have just started, because a lot of the jobs that we take, we're like both newer interpreters, but we're constantly talking about like better ways to do things and like ways to like use companies to your advantage instead of them just only using you for their advantage, right? And like kind of taking control of your schedule and stuff. So it totally fits. Like that was like pretty spot on for me. Like I was like, that was kind of crazy. And again, it changes from night to night. Like it might not always be in the same moon. Like it changes like every like 1 to 2 nights, something like that. Oh. Yeah. So now let's go to Morgan's dream. Okay.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So Morgan's example dream happened on Friday, December 2nd, when the moon was in Aries. Okay. Now Morgan's moon is in Aquarius. So what that means during that time is yours was in the humanity house. So it says political or social causes close to your heart may manifest in your dreams. Next, wake up and change the world. Oh, that's literally what it says. Okay. But it also mentions, so I read a little bit more in this article. And again, because I had Morgan's dream, I was able to look a little bit more into it. It says that because like with political and social issues, it causes a state of confusion in your comfort zone. Okay. Now, your dream that you gave me was in Santa Barbara during college. You were riding bikes with a friend who was a guy, and his dad was also there riding bikes. So, but you left the party area of the school, or of like the area, or of the
neighborhood.
Yeah, you left the party area of the neighborhood, and his dad lived in that other area. So take it away. What do you think that could mean?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I guess the dad was the state of confusion because I literally woke up from the dream like, why does his dad like live in like the like college student neighborhood? Like it was weird because it was apparent that like his parent that his dad had moved with him to college.
Yeah.
I remember at the end of the dream, like we get to the driveway of like where they live, and the dad like goes in, and I remember like standing in the driveway with my bike being like, your dad lives here. That's weird.
Yeah. That's super interesting.
So the confusion definitely lines up with that.
Yeah. And I mean, you did also say that it was like a really beautiful dream, right?
It was.
That it was
Yeah.
familiar, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
I would say usually my dreams are kind of crazy and weird. This was probably one of the more peaceful, calm dreams I've ever had.
Right.
That I can remember of recent years, at least.
Right. But that's the thing, right? Like that becomes, I mean, again, this is all just based off of like what we've read so far, but like that becomes like the tame and mundane, like what you know.
Yeah.
Which leads to a state of confusion. It literally led you to a state of confusion.
Like, yes.
Yeah. That's interesting.
This is fascinating. All of our resources will be in the show notes, so we can all look up our dreams every night moving Oh, that's so fascinating. I love that.
I know. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like when I was asking Morgan to like give me her dream and like remember that night, like sometimes I do feel like when I have dreams, I can remember if they were like right when I woke up or if they were like a little bit farther away. You know what I mean? Like maybe earlier in the night or whatever. And so for both of us, we did actually both like think that they happened that morning. So it would be that morning.
Yeah.
However, I was interested in comparing it to where the moon actually was that night before, because the moon is actually technically still in the sky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like we might have needed to compare it to the night before. So that would be an interesting comparison too, to see what would change with that. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So if we're going based off of where the moon that was still in the sky, what house that moon was in, it was in Pisces for Morgan. So that would be spirituality. So your dreams could be very powerful during this transit and can reveal some legit truths about yourself.
I want a daddy on a bike.
I want a daddy on a bike.
We're bringing it back around.
I mean, that's fair.
Like the scenery was so incredibly detailed. Like it was sunset, and where we lived was like on the cliffs of the beach in Santa Barbara. Like riding the bikes, like it was like I could probably paint a picture of it. Like when I close my eyes and remember the dream, like riding the bikes and looking at the sunset is very vivid to me.
Interesting.
So that's interesting. If it does fall into that one, I feel like I can see like maybe the spirituality kind of ties in there.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah.
How about yours?
Yeah. If we change mine, I actually get what you had. So, which would also, again, still apply. So it's humanity, which political or social causes close to your heart may manifest in your dreams. Next, wake up and change the world. So again,
Ryann is ready to burn down the MLMs.
Honestly, like
she's going for the top.
Yeah. Going for the heads, off with their heads. Yeah. Yes. Honestly, again, still completely fits. And that's the beautiful thing about these. Like, that's why I like talking about astrology, because it's not always that I need everything to apply. Oh, I don't have, any like social issues that I'm worried about. Well, like if you don't, like you need to. No, just kidding. But like for real. But it also is just like applying to the bigger picture, right? Like what in your life, there's always something, and like sometimes that's exhausting. I don't want to always be working at something. Sometimes I just want to relax, but it could just give you a good perspective on like what there is to look forward to in your life. That's it. So yeah.
Yes. Ooh, that was really fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to save that website. I'm going to bookmark that. That's so fun.
I guess
we're gonna analyze everything.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, maybe we'll do a post about it so you can like look at the different ones, you know, and maybe we'll post it like on the day, like this is where the moon is tonight, so you can compare it and read all of the different houses to see where you fall. So super interesting, but you need your birth chart, so make sure you have your birth chart.
Yeah, definitely. Ooh, that's fun. Well, you guys should do yours and let us know, because that is really interesting. Obviously, the amount of times we've said interesting, I know, is probably so annoying. If anyone's counting these in these past 2 episodes, I'm sorry. But as you can tell, we were very interested in these topics.
Yeah.
So do your birth chart and let us know about your dreams, because it's so fascinating.
Truly intrigued. Yes. And as you know, we usually end the episode with, are we doing this wrong? But you know what? We thought as a special gift to all of you, no right or wrongs these weeks, okay? Let's just get through the holidays in one piece with some peace of mind to go along with it. So with that being said, we will see you all in the next episode.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.